Hey guys, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Kitumezi Ditedu, and my surname is spelled Litelu. Thank you guys so much for joining me again in today's video. Thank you guys so much for subscribing and liking my previous video and engaging on my previous video. Thank you guys so much for the warm welcome. I am back again today with another topic, and just as a disclaimer, I have my diary here today because I've jotted down some of my most important points and the way that I've structured the video. So you guys will see me looking down occasionally. Please do not mind that. I'm just simply keeping track of where I am and making sure that I cover my key points. So today's topic is, whose voice did you long to hear the most? Now, in saying whose voice did you long to hear the most, I mean, whose voice did you long to hear echo in your head during unfamiliar circumstances or even during familiar circumstances? Whose voice did you feel like you needed it to be that founding voice in your head that either keeps cheering you on when things are not good or when things are good, or the voice that you wish you can do away with because it constantly keeps discouraging you and keeps you in the same position that you've been for the longest time? Now, if I were to answer this question, I would say the voice that I needed to hear the most, or the voice that I longed to hear and echo in my head for the longest time, is or has to be my family's voice. I needed my family's voice to be that of affirmation. I needed my family to affirm me that I was good, you know, that the scar meant nothing. I wish, and this is not to bash anyone, just as a disclaimer, I wish they would have told me about the scar, or I wish that I would have been aware about the scar from them as opposed to hearing it from other people. Now, I'm speaking loosely about a scar. I've actually elaborated about the scar and my accident in my previous video. So if you haven't watched my previous video, please do go back and watch it so you can kind of be up to date about what I'm talking about in this video. So elaborating a little bit more on that, hearing the opinions and having the reaction of my accident from other people's, their opinions, their thoughts, um, that really became the founding head, the founding voice in my head. That really became the voice where I based my narrative off of it. That really became the voice that, like I said in my previous video, dictated the period of time that I have taken to actually gain the confidence and start a YouTube channel, right? And the reason why that I say I wish that I would have heard it from my family is that I would have had a different perspective of the scar. Nothing could ever take away from it being there, but having been affirmed and having been, you know, comforted by my family, my reaction to it would have been different. I would have been able to own my story. I would have been able to appreciate the fact that, hey, that almost happened, you know, that accident may have almost taken my life, but I'm here. You know, I would have probably appreciated being alive a whole lot more instead of dwelling on the accident and the scar and having been made fun of, right? And it is not just subject to the accident. There are a whole lot more other opinions that I have gotten from other people that have basically become, over the years, the founding voice in my life, right? That has basically dictated my narrative. And because of that, I openly And I guess because they had no, or I had no other voice challenging what was in my head, I actively took up that identity. I actively took up what people were saying about me. I actively saw myself through the lens of other people. And I didn't actually realize that I was doing this until my last therapy session. So I'm someone who bottles things up, right? I'm someone who thinks or who thought, becoming aware that it's actually not a healthy thing to do. I'm someone who thought in bottling things up, in being there for people, even at my lowest, made me like the greatest person ever. But I didn't realize that because I'm going through my own things, I'm already low, my cup has nothing to give, and I am also taking in other people's problems, right? And in taking in other people's problems, I'm pushing mine to the curb and attending to helping the next person, right? And at the end of that all, I would feel so low. I would feel so down. I would feel so empty because I really was already empty and I was giving into something empty, all because I was trying to be everything at once. I didn't realize this, but I was actually trying to fill up the voids that were in my life and doing for others what I wish would have been done for me, right? And so easily I started identifying with the I'm not worthy of this, I don't deserve that. I feel like I don't have any worth, useless, and all of those things. And in my last therapy session, I spoke to my therapist, and as I'm going on about how I don't feel like I'm worth this, my childhood that, car accident that, and these are all negative things that I'm saying to you because that's all that's been ringing in my head, right? And she said to me, "Do you realize just how much of society's labels that you've taken and placed on yourself?" And I was like, oh, that's when I had that epiphany moment to say, oh, there's actually another side of the coin to this whole thing, right? I could actually shift my perspective from being a victim to embracing being a victor of a car accident, to embracing being a victor of so many other things. And that's when it actually rang in my head. Oh, everything happens in such a chronological manner, right? Because first you identify with something, you realize, oh, I was violated, you realize, oh, I was stripped of the security in myself, I was stripped of the faith in myself way before I could even build it, I was stripped of my identity, right? um I had to abandon myself. I'm not speaking about me, but like that's just an example. I had to abandon myself. Well, that is me also. This is also me. I had to abandon myself so I could be socially accepted. Right? I had to hide my scar. I felt the most prettiest when I had my hair braided. I would endure the pain of being braided just so I could look different, just so I could hear someone say, "Oh, you look so beautiful," just so I could hide that scar. Because when I did my Yaki braids, when I did my straight back, nobody could really see the scar because my hair was done. You know, it was unlike a pushback where if the wind blew, then there goes my hair, right? So that voice became so powerful in me that I said to myself, in order to look beautiful, in order to hear the compliment from other people, I needed to hide what was always pointed out about me that I didn't even understand. I still don't understand. So I want to ask you today, what is that voice that constantly echoes in your head in unfamiliar circumstances or familiar circumstances? Is it a positive voice? Is it encouraging you? Is it cheering you on? Or is it like mine, a negative voice that aims to put you in a corner, to put you in your place, as society has deemed? And so, going back to the whole thing about it being a whole chronological thing, you identify with an event. You then find a group of people who've been in the same situation. And don't get me wrong, it's a great thing to have a group of people who can relate to the pain that you're feeling. And I say it's a great thing because um, you're understood, right? You are not alone, right? You can have someone that you speak to and actually gets you, right? But there are two sides of this. There is that speaking to someone, someone understanding you, you being comfortable and gaining strength in knowing that I'm alone. Whenever I'm not okay and I'm having a breakdown because of this matter, I can turn to this person and they'll understand exactly what I mean, right? And then there's the other side of the coin. And that other side of the coin is dwelling too long in that space where we don't get out of finding comfort in being around people who've been through the same thing and using that as ammunition to go forward, right? What wouldn't it be great if we embraced the narrative that's on the other side of the coin? Yes, we can be victims, but it's important for us to not dwell too much in that place of being a victim. It's important for us to bridge the gap and get to the point of being a victor. You don't even need to declare to the world that you are a victim. Because, like I said in my previous video, it needs to be for yourself before it can be for the world. And so, that healing and that realization of, hey, I'm a victor, I've been through so many things, becomes your point and your why in life of moving forward, your why in life for attacking so many more other things, for taking up your space, for fulfilling your purpose, for fulfilling your own joy and your internal being, right? And that all stems from the realization that, hey, that happened to me, yes, but it doesn't define me. That happened to me, yes, but that's not my narrative in life. That happened to me, yes, but there's more to life than what is. Because I've realized, think about the victim mentality, and I speak from my own perspective because I have been in a dark hole for most of my life. I speak for myself here now, right? Thing about a victim mentality is that it cripples you so much. It cripples you so much that you get to a point where you can't do anything but cry. That was me. I would cry. Why are you crying? I don't know. But in my head, that you're not good enough is just going on. You don't deserve this. It's just going on. Why do you think you can do this? It's just going on. All those negative things that I have known and have almost become second nature to me were ringing in my head at that time when I'm crying. But if someone asks me, why are you crying? I can't tell them why I'm crying because to me it seems like, no, and by this I mean what I'm hearing in my voice is fact. It's all that I've known, right? It's all that I've known all my life. So how can I be crying about something that has always been in my head? How can I be crying about something that I've known all my life? How do I get to a point where I identify that actually this voice is where the problem is? This voice is the reason for me being so down, for me doubting myself, for me having good things come my way and I don't want to say single-handedly, I destroy them actively because it's too good to be true. And exactly what does that too good to be true mean? Because at the end of the day, it's exactly what you deserve. It's the same thing as when someone says to you in your wildest dreams, or when you speak to yourself and say, in my wildest dreams, I want to be this, that, or in my next life, I want to be this, that. Hey, no, Or actually, before I even go any further, please do comment down below and let me know what you think in your wildest dreams means. Because I'll let you guys know what I think in your wildest dreams means. I believe when someone says in your wildest dreams, or when you say to yourself, in my wildest dreams, I would like to achieve this. That's not your wildest dreams. That's your conscious awakening. That's what you really want for yourself. That is your true potential speaking. That is what you know internally that it's supposed to be for you. That's what you want. So for you to bridge that gap from I'm seeing it as a wild dream is acknowledging that, hey, this is my internal self speaking. And for me to get to where my internal self sees myself, to for me to get to my full potential, for me to get to a place where I attain this fulfillment, this comfort, this joy that I don't even know comes from where, is by actively taking the step against that voice in your head. There's a saying that God speaks to us in glimpses and visions. So when you're like daydreaming and you're seeing yourself there, you're seeing yourself in that room full of those people that you've always admired, and you're seeing yourself in a room full of people that you can only but dream of being in a room full of people, in a room full of people, right? I hope I said that correctly. That's where you're supposed to be. That is God saying to you, you can, you will, only if you discard that voice, only if you leave that voice behind, only if you leave all that you know and look to what I have to offer you. And that is tough. That is tough. How do you leave all you've known for all your life? I mean, I'm 22. How do I turn my back away from all that I've known to say, Lord, here I am. I know that you want better for me. I see it. I daydream about it. I dream about it. I can see myself there. But this voice is just holding me back. And to get to that point where I say, you know what, voice? It's me and you. Let's go. And I know I will definitely win. It's so challenging, but it can be done. And for me to get to this place, I was like, you know what? My life right now is all that I've known. The way my life is structured right now, my routine, my, you know, eating habits, which are very poor, by the way, is all that I've known. I want to know what life is like on the other side. I want to know what life is like when there is a routine. I want to know what life is like when I believe in myself. I want to know what life is like when I have a voice that is actively challenging the one that constantly echoes in my head during familiar and unfamiliar situations. I want a voice where I can say, I'm leaning on this voice because I know and I believe in myself that we're going to get to where we want to get to. And it's just like I said in my previous video. Again, if you haven't watched the video, please do go back and watch it. It's like I said in my previous video. We need to be able to create a distinction, right? We need to be able to create a distinction between what our parents have afforded us and what we're affording ourselves. Now, that voice that echoes in our heads is as a result of circumstances, circumstances that we encountered while we were growing up. So, what does that make it? That makes it a part of us, right? Our past being, right? Um, and it's not to bash anyone, but our parents afforded us what they could, our families afforded us what they could, according to their own understanding, right? And they did an amazing job. It's very important to acknowledge that they did an amazing job for us to all be where we are, for me to be behind the camera, for you to be watching this video. It's because of that conscious awakening in me that, hey, I'm grateful for what I had. I'm grateful for the voices that have echoed in my head. But it's time I create a voice that I want, that I am going to nurture. I am going to selectively consume things so that it grows louder in my head in order for me to give myself what I afford myself. And I know it sounds a little bit tricky saying that because um, it's all internal, right? I'm saying on one hand that, hey, your internal self is communicating with you and saying, this is where I want to be. Yet again, that voice in our heads, or the voice that echoes in our head, is internal as well. So it's internal versus internal, but you know where the distinction is. The internal voice that echoes in our heads is shaped by circumstances, whereas the you that still believes, regardless of how things are looking, is your true self. Like I said, your true potential is the one that is not phased that, hey, it's raining outside. If you want to take a walk, you'll definitely take a walk because you believe that you can make it out of that rain. You go to the shop, get what you want despite it raining, and come back safely. You might get wet, yes, but what's being wet compared to fulfillment? So, um, all this to say, there's nothing like wildest dreams. Your wildest dreams are within your reach. You are able and you are well within your right to reach for all that seems like your wildest dreams. You are well within your right to empower, enlighten, and even change your current perspective to get to where you want to be. Because you need to live. And how do you live? You live by doing the things that make you uncomfortable. You live. See, I always say to myself, that one thing, that one thing that when I think about, my breathing suddenly changes, um, my anxiety then kicks in, and then I have to calm myself to what I know. That's the exact same thing that I should be pursuing. That's the exact same thing that will give me fulfillment. Because let me tell you, sitting here, I'm scared. I am very scared, but it gives me joy to do it. It gives me so much more fulfillment. And so it's a thing where you have to choose. Are you going to choose being comfortable? Or are you going to choose internal happiness? And I'm not speaking from a point where, no, I've been there, I've done that, I've crossed that bridge. I'm on the light side now. No, I'm still a work in progress. I'm still a work in progress, and that's why I am so comfortable talking about it because I know exactly how it feels. I know the emotions. One day you're happy, the next day it's like, wow. One day you're motivated, the next day it's like, oh, a girl like me, how could I? What makes me qualified? You look at other people who are in the same space that you want to be in, and you're so intimidated, and you think to yourself, oh, no way. Mm-mm. Let me rather do something else. Without realizing that, hey, we're all human. We all started where you're starting, right? We all need to have that place where we're like, okay, enough. Let me go get what I want. And so it is still a work in progress for me, but I believe that with persistence, with constantly choosing the other side of the coin, choosing that, and constantly choosing to constantly remind yourself every day that I am a victor. Like I have been through the most. I have been through the most, but between the most and me, I came out on top. I'm that person. Like nobody or nothing can ever put me down because I have this, that. I have knowledge about that. And yes, some things you can never prepare for, but you can always prepare your character for how things are, right? And speaking about getting away from that victim mentality, you don't just wake up and say, okay, I'm tired of being a victim. Victory, here I come. Victory mindset, here I come. No, The painful part about coming out of that victim mindset is having to face yourself. I know that was the most difficult thing for me, having to face myself, having to journal about why I do certain things, having to really analyze my actions to the T, having to realize what triggers me, what is the situation for me to get triggered like that, to what extent does my trigger go, like um my actions. And I see, I also don't like saying that, but am I overreacting? And I don't like using the word overreacting because pain is subjective. You can never say to someone that they are overreacting because what is overreacting? Our pain thresholds are not the same, right? What hurts me, you could never say you relate or downgrade it or say no, you're overreacting because you can't relate. You haven't been there. Even if you have been there, your pain threshold is not the same. So you cannot invalidate my feelings simply because you cannot relate to the pain that I am actively feeling inside. So all this to say, analyze and see how much do you explode when you do explode? Why do you explode that much? Have you actually dealt with what constantly comes up in your heart and in your mind that you're so quick to shut down? Have you dealt with that thing that brings you shame? Because you know what I've noticed? The one thing or the many things or that big thing that you're mostly ashamed of that happened in your life is that one thing that has the biggest and the strongest hold on you. Because you can't do anything when you're in a state of shame. You can't face it if you yourself are ashamed to face it. See, now the shame moves from you detaching yourself from it on a societal scale. From people looking outside, you don't want to be associated with that shame, only to subconsciously realize that you are actually giving that shame power over you because you too are ashamed to face that shame, you know? And that's the most difficult part about addressing that voice that echoes in your head because, man, it's everything. It's everything that you've ever been through. It's analyzing why. It's having to extend grace and kindness to yourself to say, I did not know. I was not aware. I did there was nothing I could do. And having to take all those hard realizations and still be kind to yourself and still say to yourself, okay, okay, girl, you know what? Or okay, guy, you know what? That was then. That's fine. We're looking forward. What does forward have in store for us? What can I do with the knowledge that I've gained? What can I do with the realization of that pain and what it does to me? How do I try and control that? In that moment, you need to essentially look for tools to help you navigate your way out of that pain, to help you navigate your way out of similar situations. Right? When a similar situation arises and it's a trigger, but how do you keep or how do you try to maintain that trigger from actually blowing up into something that could potentially take you 50 steps back? And that's when I came to the realization. I know I come to a lot of realizations, don't I? That's when I came to the realization that, hey, you know what? Compound events. I don't know if that's an actual thing, but compound events, compound actions. And by that I mean do a little every day. It can be very overwhelming. Imagine having to face yourself. And see, the thing with facing yourself is that if you really want to do it, like if you really want to get the best results out of it, you have to be objective. You have to be objective. The hard truth, serve it. Serve yourself the hard truth. If because of a trigger I become toxic, write it down. Because of this being a trigger, I become toxic. Because of this being a trigger, the voice in my head um, adds fuel to the fire of the things that I'm feeling, and then I just become that person. And I don't want to become that person. Okay, you don't want to become that person. So what do? You write down your tools. Okay, I could try this, I could try that. And there's no straightforward answer. You have to go through all the motions. And in those motions, I found myself sometimes crying. Sometimes crying and just saying to myself, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? I could just simply go back to being comfortable. But being comfortable sometimes means being toxic. And we're quick to call out other people and how they're toxic. But what about you? What are you contributing to that toxicity? Anyway, and we move on, right? To just close off this video, I just want to say to you guys that please, 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 in all that you do, realize realize that you are well within your rights to strive for more than you have. You are well within your rights to pursue your full potential. You are well within your rights to want more, to be more, to have faith in yourself, to have confidence in yourself, and to just say to yourself, you know what, I'm the girl, or you know what, I'm the guy, and I can definitely do this, regardless of how many times I'm going to cry, how many times I'm going to break down. But because you want to know what life is like on the other side, how kinder is life? How much more kind is life on the other side? How much more loving is life from the other side? Because that's essentially what a shift in perspective is. Not everything has to be so tough. Sometimes things happen to us from a point of love, but it takes knowing love to realize that it is actually love. And love can happen with the objective of growth. Growth is uncomfortable. Man, switching from 21 to 22 was very uncomfortable, but it had to be done. And you know what? What I had in 21, I cannot have in 22. And it's because of those compound events, compound actions that I look back and I'm like, oh, I'm a little bit different. Oh, okay, my reaction to this is a little bit different, right? And yes, that's how long I've been working on myself since 2020. So it's been 2 years. But even still, in those 2 years, I am definitely still battling that voice that constantly echoes in my head. I am definitely still at a point where I am trying to establish a voice of affirmation for myself because that is what I want for myself. That is what I'm working towards. That is what I can afford myself. And so, to close off this video, I've dedicated myself to leaving us with a question or two. And if you guys are comfortable, please do comment down below and engage so that we can learn from each other. I did specify in my previous video that I want us to learn from each other. I want us to become a community of people where we grow together and we do this as a team. And so, because of that objective, I understand that my realizations are not truth. Um, and I'm more than happy to read your realizations as well because that means growth. That means widening my perspective. That means hearing a story, hearing a story with the objective of moving forward, with the objective of us conquering all that we've been through together, right? And not just staying in that place of I can relate. Well, not staying in that place too long. We can stay in it to learn from it, to get the tools that we need from it, and just to absorb and immerse ourselves in that pain so that we can identify it at a later stage when it comes, right? And so the question that I leave you guys with today is why Do you constantly feel the need to be validated? It can be something that you do subconsciously or consciously. The question is, why do you constantly feel the need to be validated? What is that voice that constantly echoes in your head? What do you wish was different about that voice? What are you doing to create that voice that you want for yourself to help you get to where you want to be, to help you get to a place where what you afford yourself, you can actually attain? Thank you guys so much for joining me in today's video. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and please do like and subscribe to this channel. Please do leave a comment down below and let me know what your thoughts are about today's video, anything that you've learned, anything that you would like me to be aware of. And please, as a disclaimer again, I was not bashing anyone or invalidating anyone's feelings, because I understand that pain is subjective. I understand that we have not all been through um, the same circumstances where we could just say, hey, let's keep it moving, because keeping it moving is not something that happens within the sound of a click. Keeping it moving is a process. Keeping it moving means being kind to yourself. Keeping it moving means if you wake up today and you're happy, great. If you wake up tomorrow and you're crying, you're still doing great. You're still on a great path. You're still on your journey. It doesn't throw you off completely. It just means you've stumbled, but you'll be okay. So, whatever it is that you need to do to get to that place, do it. Take it slowly. Be kind to yourself. And know that we're on this journey with you. Thank you guys again for watching today's video. I've realized that I actually haven't notified you guys about my social media platforms. As for now, I only have Facebook, and you guys can get me on Facebook at Did, just as it's written on the screen. I need to set up my Instagram page, and those are the only two social media platforms that I will actually be um, active on. So if you're looking to follow your girl, please do so on Facebook at Kitumetiditeri, and I'll let you guys know once my Instagram page is up and running. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for joining me on today's video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Oh no, actually, guys, please do turn on your notification bell so that you can get notified every single time I post a new video. Thank you for watching this video again, and I'll see you in the next one.